Hello, lads. How's it going? Thrilled to welcome Waverley onto the show tonight. Do you want to introduce yourself one by one as well? Because we don't normally have this many people on the show remotely, so I'm sure we're going to do a bit of talking over each other. But Donnie, do you want to go first, mate? And then we'll work round. I'll work round in a clockwise direction according to my camera.
Sure. So I'm Donnie. I play the guitar and sing a bit in Waverley, and sometimes get to be on the keys every so often. And I help write some of the songs, I suppose.
My name is Ewan Malach. I also play the guitar, do a bit of the songwriting. Usually I'm the acoustic guitar, so that's kind of what I'd stick to most of the time.
You're desperate to be off,
nice, man.
I'm the best.
Leo, do you want to jump on next, mate? You can last but not least.
I'm Leo. I also play the guitar and occasionally back orders at the rest of the band when I feel things are not going the way I feel.
Yeah, and there's 5 of you in the band, isn't there? And the 3 of you are here tonight, but the band consists of 5 members, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. We've got Jake Cunningham on the bass and Rory on the drums. So yeah, they're not here. They're busy boys, to be fair, but normally there's 5-headed dog.
Nice one. Well, it's always good to have bands on the podcast. I love music, and it's great when you see bands like yourself coming out of Scotland. Obviously, you guys are on the same record label. Shout out to Blackhall as well, who work with our friend Dictator, who we've had on the podcast quite a few times, and a lot of our listeners will be familiar with. But you guys have got a new EP coming out very shortly, so obviously plug that tonight. But I also want to talk to you about sort of evolution of your band, what it's like to be in a band at the moment. Because music, I know a lot of people listening will know it's like a lot of the creative industries at the moment. When a cost of living crisis, it's really hard if you don't have that funding and money behind you to sort of make it happen. And I'm sure you are having to really graft hard. So maybe a good place to start tonight is just to ask the 3 of you, like, what's it kind of like to be in a band in 2025 and an independent band like yourself? Do you want to maybe go first this time, Ian?
Sure. I think the honest answer is it's quite difficult. We're not really in it to make money at the moment. I don't think we ever started the band with that as a kind of ambition. But it's also kind of it's quite an evolving landscape, kind of making music, especially now it feels like. It's both so accessible and easy to get your music out there, but also so hard to get lost amongst the noise of other stuff and other people. But we do it largely just to have a lot of fun. I think that's the big thing, and just kind of continue doing our own thing. That's kind of always been our goal, is to kind of try and focus on what we're doing and continue to improve. Don't know if the other guys have. Yeah,
I was going to jump on that. It's just a big sort of. It's a big cost, but it's just our passion. So we're like some people go out cycling or buy nice groceries or even buy nice clothes. We get trains to Glasgow and go into dingy rehearsal rooms and stuff like that. So that's sort of our passion and what we want to do. So we just try and do it. Pick up some money along the way. That'll fund some recordings. That'll help us play a show somewhere different. It'll fund a wee trip to London to go play a show there. Ultimately, it's difficult, but it's in 2025. It feels like if we earn enough to sustain it somewhat, then you're being all right. You're doing all right. And I mean, Leo's probably the best to ask because Leo is a musician full time.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think Donnie's hit the nail on the head there with it seems like the most achievable goal is to just establish a sustainable approach towards just keeping the band going and keeping shows coming and keeping the things that we like doing happening. So, I mean, I think I want to say that the past 2 EPs, we've fully funded ourselves through shows and selling merch and everything like that. We've actually not done much in the way of funding. So it really just breaks even at the end of the day. And that's all we're going for right now. And it seems to be working out. It seems to be getting a little more like not scraping the pennies out of our pockets to make that happen, the longer we do it. So it's a pleasure to get to experience that with these lads.
What poverty?
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
The coats behind you in your little cupboard are adding to your sentiment there, don't they? I think.
Yeah. I know, it's very, I was saying, it's a very spacious studio apartment. Got my cooker over there. You gotta take what you can get. And these aren't even my coats. So.
But you stole them.
New EP.
And Leo, just to expand as well, because I know you're saying you're a full-time musician outside of the band and stuff. Like, what is your sort of sense check of where the music industry is at, and like where it is as a sort of career for people sustainably?
I think if I can reflect on my own position and how I operate within that, it's not an industry where you can. But below a certain level, it's not an industry now that you can just do the one thing and sustain yourself that way. I think you have to become a bit of a polymath and try and do as many things that are within your skill set as possible, and go really far-reaching with that. I think that's more in a freelance sense, but yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, the job varies and people approach it differently, but I think you need to be willing to just drive yourself so much harder and more consistently to make something that works. There's no room for just kind of letting things lie. And I know I'm guilty of dropping it off sometimes with various other band members who shall remain nameless, mainly you and Donny. But making it all work is a consistent effort, and it's running things almost like a business, which seems it's tough to say when you're considering art in that way, but you've got to have a bit of a mindset about it to make it grow if you want it to go that way.
There's so much admin.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of admin. Yeah, no, there is a lot of admin in whatever part of the creative industry. Something that's come up a lot recently in the podcast is this debate between, like, a lot of creatives are resistant to being business minded. And I spoke to a few people recently who have had different opinions on it. Some of them are like, let the creatives be creative, let the business people be business people. I think it depends on you, but I think it is going to help if you do have a bit of a business mind, especially in a band, or if you're doing something like what I'm doing with a podcast where you need to market it and, you know, you're front facing, so you kind of have to be seen and stuff. So no, for sure. Before I sort of ask about the new EP and sort of the evolution of the band stuff, let's go back to the start. So you guys all know each other. You kind of all grew up together, right? And that's where this band sort of came from. Is that correct?
Yeah, me and Ewan here went to primary school together, and then me, Leo, Jake, and Rory all met at a council-run music project in Edinburgh called Edinburgh School's Rock Ensemble, which was cooler than it sounds. And they've
It wasn't.
well, they've been responsible for some massive bands coming out of Edinburgh, like bands that we love have come through it, and that's how we all met and we all introduced. So we've known each other since high school, grown up together, been to all the parties, 15-year-old, 16-year-old parties, when we were 16 as well, and done all that, grown up. Yeah, made that clear. Yeah. Drinking, whatever in the park, and so we've all been close mates for, well, some of us over 10 years now, 10-15 years. That's
class. And I'm assuming Edinburgh's played a big role in the band as well. Like, I love asking people about where they're from, how that's impacted and stuff. So the name itself, I'm going to put two and two together and say that probably played a factor, right? The city of Edinburgh, I mean, Waverley, etc.
Yeah, we were. I don't want to break the third wall, but you sent over a question before, so we were talking about this one before we jumped on, and it's a difficult one to think about Edinburgh specifically. I think it's quite easy to jump to an answer about Scotland or about kind of influences of bands that we like. But when you try and think specifically about Scotland, I think it was a great place to grow up, I think, and it harbored it was a good place to kind of be creative and do some of these things and go to small venues and it's just an inspiring city as well. It's a beautiful city, and there's definitely bands from Edinburgh that we look up to and are influenced by. I'm kind of waffling now. If anyone's got anything they want to jump in about Edinburgh, it's a good question.
Go on, Leo.
What are some...
Help him out there.
Yeah, I think with speaking from, I think, my own experience, and we all kind of fell into the same things, I imagine, but the sort of route that we all took through music, we got to kind of get out on it at quite a young age. I mean, going to gigs was really quite accessible. Going to Sneakies or going to, I think the Liquid Rooms was one of my first gigs in Edinburgh, and just seeing bands and getting to feel that sort of passion from them, and then also just, I mean, it didn't take long for us to be all gigging, I suppose. I can't remember when. But I think, yeah, like playing Edinburgh venues and then just getting a taste for it. It's like you could do a tour around the Cowgate, the venues in the Cowgate, and it was all you needed. The world was all on the Cowgate, nothing more.
Still is.
And did the name come from the station, or am I just like being facetious there? Like, is that where the name came from, or is there a bit more depth behind that?
I see you both troubling yourselves over this answer because you're trying to think of the coolest way to present it, and I get to say that because I wasn't there at the time.
I'll let Donnie answer it.
Long story short, yeah, it was the train station. We were looking for a name on the way to a gig, or it was the day before a gig. I can't remember. One of our first ones, actually, and I think it was the Cowgate we might have been playing for the Fringe, and we were just needing a name. They were like, "What do we put you down as?" And we're like driving. We're like, "Oh, saw a road sign. I think it was." We're like, "Oh, Waverley," and then I was doing a Scottish literature course at the time at uni, and I was reading Waverley by Walter Scott, or attempting to read Waverley by Walter Scott. So I was like, "Oh, that fits in." And a couple of us went to uni in Glasgow, so we were like, "Oh, Waverley connects Edinburgh, Glasgow," so it was brought us to and from each other. So we had like a few reasons at the time that it felt right, but I suppose the long story short is that it's the train station, which I like to bring up the fun fact that it's the only train station in the world named after a novel. So,
wow,
it's better than
I
calling
didn't even know that.
It's better than calling yourselves Haymarket. So that's what I say.
Well, if it's any consolation, I like the name. It's a station I use very often myself. So you know what I mean. Lived in Edinburgh for 9 years. I travel back there often as well. So it's no. How do they do, Leo? Is it a cool enough answer for you?
I'll pass, I think. Yeah.
Managed to get a book into a bit of literature. It's quite nice poetic. That's there. Good. No, I it's also I quite like a one name for a band can work sometimes as well.
That
which
was
is nice.
That was also
People try that really hard to do that, don't they?
Yeah, well, that was a reason Ewan refused to be in a band that wasn't one word. You're like, we're not anything else. We can't be called this something. You're like one name. And we tried so hard. We tried for years to get it down to one name, and then we just panicked from the day before our gig or 2 days before our gig. As long as it had to be that, because you wanted it to like pop.
Yeah, I don't know what it was that attracted me to one name. I think at the time I was a big Foals fan, and I like that as a kind of standalone word. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't be as staunch on it now.
I do agree. Like even we were chatting about the marketing perspective. Like a one-word name is good. It's like the 13th floor elevators. It's like I'd stick that on a gig poster. It's a bit tough or what. There's other bands.
Honestly, I feel your pain with it. See, the podcast name's obviously Just Get a Real Job. That is a fucking pain in the ass to get on a poster, and see getting a new font made for that. Jesus Christ, because it's like for something easier, but it's just a shorter word. And people get it wrong all the time as well. I was in a paper recently and they called it Get a Real Job. And I know it's not really too different, but it is, it's not this. Yeah, you get a lot of people mistaken. So,
you're preaching to the choir here. It's like, we've spelt so many ways. We've decided to make it uncapitalized with a full stop at the end. Oh, the combinations therein are extraordinary.
Well, it's good to know when I put this episode out then that it's Waverley with a little full stop and all lowercase. Then it's good luck with that though, longer term.
And yeah, don't get started on fonts either. That's the marketing of different fonts, and we probably spend more time on fonts than we do on the actual music making.
It's all part of it, isn't it? I want to ask as well about the influence of the band, because obviously your sound's changed a little bit over the years and stuff. And I don't know. I don't want to like start saying it reminds me of this and this and putting other bands on it, but like it's quite folky, and I mean this is a compliment as well. But it reminded me when I was listening to some of the music today when I was researching this interview. Like kind of got a bit of the sort of newer Bon Iver stuff was coming to mind. King Creosote, that's who you say, isn't it? King Creosote. I would say that artist name's wrong there, but I was getting a bit of that in a good way, and with that sort of indie soulness as well. So, I mean, how would you guys describe your own music? What sound do you think it? If somebody was like that classic question, what type of music do you make? Which I'm sure is annoying to be asked, but what type of music do you make?
Well, I'll jump into this, but probably you.
I'm just sort of asking these, and I'm letting you decide amongst yourselves, and I appreciate you bearing with me on that. I'm not used to having three people on at once. So.
Well, I love the sound of my own voice. I'm always happy to hop in. Those two, Bon Iver and King Creosote, are two of our favourites. Like we've all seen Bon Iver before live multiple times. I travelled down to London when I was younger, see Bon Iver on an overnight bus. King Creosote as well, that from Scotland with Love albums, one of our favourites. So that's it. It's when everyone says, we normally say like indie folk, like we know it's not all singing about the ocean and classic folk tropes, but it is we do try and include as much acoustic guitars. Like we're huge Bob Dylan fans and stuff like that. That is the blending of indie and folk music that there was Bon Iver albums where they bring in the electronic elements, and the same with those King Creosote elements where like it can go any way. Like it can go towards the more sort of drenched sounding expansive albums. Like we love Sigur Rós and we want it epic, and you want it almost to be like a film score in a way, and then but also the completely intimate songs that sort of just like break your heart with like it's their honesty. So I suppose that's what we always try and discuss. And because we've got a range of influences and everyone's got their little niches and little things, we do sometimes just get a song that comes out a bit more poppy or a bit more, even we've done a couple of punkier ones and not always stuck with them, but we've tried them, and we've done some more electronic-y stuff that we potter about with but haven't felt confident enough to put out. So it's all there. It's just we sort of pick as much as we can from different places, and I think that I'll let someone jump in because I'm going to keep talking.
No, I think you've hit quite a lot of them there. I definitely take Bon Iver and King Creosote. I think the obvious one is probably a bigger influence for us was Frightened Rabbit. I think they towed that line of like folk and indie and Americana really well. So as a kind of baseline, we kind of sit around there. Bands like Wilco as well, or The National are all big influences for us, and that we kind of share. Yeah, Big Beats.
Big Thief.
Oh, Big Thief.
Love Big Beats.
I love Big Beats. Big Thief as well. Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that we enjoy most about the band is that we're not afraid to kind of try different things as well and try and kind of add more strings to our bow. We'll probably come on to talk about the EP in a bit more detail, but at the end of it, there's a piano ballad that Donny does that has a harmonica on it. But it contrasts quite starkly with some of the other songs on the EP. So, I think whatever excites us, really, and that can be quite broad.
No, it's really nice sound, honestly. And what I love about doing this podcast is I'll listen to a band for like an interview, and then I'll get into them, like, and I've downloaded the Nettle Nettle. It's just called Nettle itself, isn't it? It's not that the in it. It's just one. And the Corner, is it the Corner? Yeah, I was scared I'm going to say them wrong, but yeah, they're both downloaded on Spotify, and I've been listening to them all day, not even blowing smoke up your arse. Generally, very enjoying it a lot. Gotten really into that sort of folky sound recently, actually, like Bon Iver, and yeah, it's really good. And obviously Frightened Rabbit, I kind of missed them when they were first around, and I know the tragic stuff that happened with their frontman and stuff. Like, I knew about it, but I never really listened to Frightened Rabbit till afterwards. I was a student when that all happened, and it was only the sort of last couple of years that I got into them, and brilliant band. So you can definitely hear a bit of that in them, and your music as well, for sure, which is great. It's a really nice sound. I think Scotland lends itself to that quite well, as often, which is nice. That really pure folk stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's having a little bit of resurgence, that kind of folk influence stuff. It's cool to see, especially in Ireland. I think it's doing very well. Bands like even Fontaine's DC kind of lean into that a little bit. But bands like Lancome, they're like, I saw them at Glastonbury last year, and they blew me away. It was they're easily one of the best bands I've ever seen.
Lisa O'Neill, I want to see Lisa O'Neill's coming to the play soon. Want to see her?
Oh yeah, big Lisa O'Neill fan. She's great.
Yeah, that's all doing really well at the moment. Seamus Fogarty is another one as well that I've been listening to. Is that the one you show me?
Yeah, kind of experimental folk. That one. It's kind of you need to be listened to on the right day. I think it's kind of like you need to set some time aside for that stuff. It's kind of
even in the bands that we like, even know or are on the same kind of scene with, we always kind of gravitate towards that sort of folkier, like more. It's not necessarily like presented as folk stuff, but there's definitely like an undercurrent there with the bands. I mean, like Lacuna, Kilgour, and who else? Scotston, of course, yeah. I think they're like. I think we've all talked and stuff like that with these bands. Theo Bleak's another one, but we're all coming from the same place. I think that's kind of what we've tried to, I don't know, muscle ourselves in there with the cool kids, but I think they're all doing something so good that we just feel so strongly that we love them.
I could honestly just sit and chat about bands that, the sound of I like and bands I like and stuff with you for the whole interview, and I was easy to get carried away on it. But I also want to kind of ask, like, who are the sort of, I mean, you just mentioned a few there, but like, who are the sort of local bands that are on the scene with you that you maybe look up to as well? Because it's kind of, Scotland has a great music scene, and it's been a privilege for me getting to have quite a lot of Scottish acts on this show. But like, who are sort of the other bands in your peer group, if that's a good way of saying it?
Go take that one, Donny.
Yeah, we always want to play with bands that we're fans of. We're always trying to be active on the scene, even if that is just playing with people or like, and just letting people know that we're fans. Like, we've gone and put on our own shows, and we've asked bands that we like, having never met them, to support us or to play with us or to join us on stage. We've done gigs up in the Highlands where we've brought our friends now, like Kilgour and Scotston Dance Band, with us to play, just because we are huge fans. And we always just try, and I saw a band called Lacuna the other day, just went down and said hello, and they're supporting us in May, our EP launch show. So yeah, Lacuna, Kilgour, Scotston Dance Band, Theo Bleak, and then the other Black Hole bands, Dictator, Midnight Ambulance, like
we're about to go on tour with Day Sleeper.
Day Sleeper as well. I love Day Sleeper, yeah.
Massive fans of Day Sleeper, yeah.
And they used to be Mounted Out, and they were from Edinburgh. And it's just, yeah, there's all these bands that we're just huge fans of. And we just try and play with them whenever we can, because I listen to local bands in the same way that I listen to the brand new Bon Iver album that came out the other day. It's like, it doesn't really matter that this one's getting, more people listen to it. I take as much as I can from the local bands, or take even more these days from who else is doing what in the scene, or I like what they did there. Who did they work with there? Who did the strings there? So I look to that often more than, and then on top of that, you get another layer who are maybe not peers, but like who are just big in Scotland that you look up to: the Twilight Sad, Idlewild, Frightened Rabbit, and then they're the ones that you strive for them, and they're probably striving for Sonic Youth and such, but we just look up one step at a time, right? Okay, Lacuna, Feel Bleak, whatever, and then Idlewild, and then so yeah, it's sort of just huge fans of just the local scene, just trying to see as much as possible. Yeah.
No, that's class. Thank you. No, it's always just nice that I like to shine a light on as many local artists and bands and stuff as well, because I mean, as we talked on at the start, it's so difficult at the moment to break through and to be seen and to make a living enough to actually go out and make EPs and make albums and stuff like that. I guess it's also a good thing to ask you is about like how have you found your growth as a band and stuff, like what have you got any strategies for anyone listening that you've used to sort of break through recently? Like how did the relationship with Black Hole come along as well? Did you go looking for a record label? Did they find you? Like it's kind of useful to ask all this. Ian, if you want to go first.
Sure. This one. Yeah, it's a good question. I think what springs to mind immediately is consistency, or what we kind of consider consistency, which is just don't go away, kind of keep doing what the best you can, and the best that we can is kind of gotten gradually better as we do it more and more, I think. And kind of touching on what Donnie said in the last question is that involve more and more people if you can. Build a good kind of group of people around you that you enjoy working with, that enjoy working with you, that believe in you. And I think that's largely what happened with Black Hole, was that Marty and Christine had been along to a few of our things previously, and we weren't shy to kind of go and say hi and thanks for coming down and showing us some support as a kind of small, unheard of band. And I think, talking to people like that just makes such a difference. So if you're willing to kind of put yourself out there a bit more and speak to people, and surround yourself with other creative people that also don't want to make money necessarily, then you've got a good chance of making like a good close knit that can help you kind of move forward. And I definitely think Black Hole have helped us do that. I think giving us the opportunity to even make a vinyl. This is our second one now, but to have something physical, and I don't know, it's kind of these little milestones, isn't it? As a band, you kind of, you play certain gigs, and then you do a certain support gig, and then you maybe do a vinyl, and things just kind of, you hit these little milestones that kind of make you want to do more and more and more. And like Donnie says, it's kind of like looking to those kind of next levels. And but ultimately, I think it doesn't really matter what level you're on. You're always going to be looking for more, wanting to do more, and I think that's a good thing, to kind of keep striving and doing more. Don't know if you have anything to add, Leo.
I'd say, yeah, consistency is key, and doing things for the right reasons, as Ian said as well. Work with the people who have the same sort of reasons that they're working and making the things they make. Doing it for the love of it. That doesn't necessarily come with or without money, but it's always fun when people are kind of, when we're putting a gig on or doing these things, we're looking at it sounds like we're just trying to have a party, but we're just trying to have a fun time. It's not usually going towards a seriously thought out stage show or anything like that we're beating ourselves up over. But when we get to have those really fun times with people who are also having fun and making records and doing things and sharing those contacts with people who we also are big fans of, that's a good reason to do something. I think like feels like a point that kind of goes without saying, but just being kind of respectful and nice to people helps, and just not wasting anyone's time. I know we've wasted people's time. It's fine, but we've learned.
Try not to burn bridges.
Yeah, that's a motto that is. If we had like a studio, which we don't, which we'd love, that would be probably on a big plaque on the wall. Don't burn any bridges, or try and repair those that you have burned.
It's not like the old days of rock and roll, is it? When you can smash a hotel room up. It's just not in this economy. It's just not possible, is it?
No,
I don't think anyone really ever liked that.
I don't think we're that rock and roll either.
You're wearing a cardigan.
I know that takes away. This is a new cardigan, so shut up.
It's even worse.
It's a nice cardigan. It's a nice cardigan. You listen. You're folk artist now. You got to live up to the part. Yeah. Maybe by the end of the interview, Donny, you can try some of the different coats on as well if you want to spice it up.
Some of them are probably far more rock and roll than the one I'm wearing. I look like an old military man in that.
You do like your private Sergeant Peppers or something. There you go. Be cool. What was I going to say? Well, I want to flag as well, just for people listening. If you're watching on YouTube, like there's links to Waverley's music and Black Hall and all those other artists and stuff in the show notes. So just click there if you want to find out more. But I mean, brilliant! You're getting a vinyl coming out with this new EP as well. Like I've seen some of the pictures; it looks class, and yeah, it's exciting. It must be nice just to have that physical thing and be like, oh my god, we're actually musicians. We got vinyl. I think just as you say, those milestones and stuff. And we'll touch on the EP in a sec, but I want to ask about those milestones. Like, what has been the sort of biggest milestone for you as a band so far? And Leo, do you want to take this one first?
Oh, that's a good question. I think going back to, I think we all look back quite fondly on the recording of this EP, in that we kind of sort of isolating ourselves to work on that. It doesn't seem like a sort of very public-facing milestone, but I feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like we kind of really got to know about working together and what kind of music we wanted to make and where what the future of the band is, just by sending ourselves away for like a week up in the Highlands with Graham and Robin, our engineers and producers, and coming out with something that we really loved. I think that felt like a big milestone. We've had a lot of good support as well, like out from that. The BBC have been behind us. When Tom Robinson played the first single from our last EP on the radio twice on like drive time Radio 6, that was like, whoa,
pretty cool.
This is metal. Like, and people like that taking note of us, or just the music that we make, and having kind words to say. There may be marginal and small milestones in the grand scheme of things, but they keep us going.
Yeah, and the gigs as well. Like when we did our EP launch last year, we had the physical record in our hands that we could say, "This is us. Like, we made this," and then we went and played a gig that was rammed, and everyone had a good time. It seemed, and we had a great time on stage. We got to share that. Even Leo from Day Sleeper came and played a solo set. We handpicked. It was all just a really great night. And we went to go out afterwards. So like playing gigs like that EP launch at the Mash House, and getting the first call up to King Tut's Wawa Hut felt like a really big thing. Like this venue that we've all been to, and it's lauded, and it's this great. It is a milestone in any band's life, is playing King Tut's. Even the bands from America, they come over and say, I want to play King Tut's, or bands from England. So getting asked to play it, or we headlined it as part of the summer festival, and like seeing so many people there and going on that stage, stuff like that. Like the gigs are special as well. And like even little things like playing like Record Store Day event last year was great. It felt and selling out Sneaky Pete's and all these things, they all add up. I mean, every gig's a milestone because ultimately it's not the 70s anymore where you tour and you play 100 gigs a year, 150 gigs a year. You can't do that anymore. It doesn't happen. So you probably do remember everyone a little bit more, but they all seem like milestones in their own way. First gig we ever played outside of Scotland, first gig in London, all these little things just as well.
Do you have anything to add to this milestone question, Ian, before we move on to the next question?
I think maybe coming a bit closer to now. I think this year we've already had quite a few, which kind of make it quite an exciting year for us. It seems to be that each year the kind of milestones get slightly bigger. So we started the year with a show at Celtic Connections, which is a festival over in Glasgow. It was really cool to be invited to play that and to headline the Glad Cafe and for it to be sold out.
I wish I'd known, honestly, around the corner from where I live. So
is it?
Never mind.
It's a lovely part of town that I'll
be
moving my way there at some point.
You need to get yourself down. I'm not giving away my address to the list. I know. I'm giving the listeners are going to know too much information there. All good.
But yeah, it's a really cool venue, and we for the first time we had got a string accompaniment for that. So we had a violinist come and play with us, and it was just, I mean, we're a 5-piece, so then to include the 6th was exciting, and to have other people kind of come and contribute to our music, and that was a cool thing. And we had Katie Mackey, who was a support, incredible solo artist in her own right, but she plays in Kilgore. She came on and sang one of the songs at the end. And then since then, we sold out the, like Donnie says, Sneaky Pete's at BBC Introducing. So there's some big ones this year.
It's class, and of course you got some gigs coming up as part of the EP launch as well. So again, just to flag the dates for all that are below, and we'll plug them as we go. But no, that's brilliant. Thank you for answering those questions about milestones as well. It's also nice. It's nice to reflect, and let's talk about the EP itself. Obviously, as I just mentioned, like it's coming out 2 weeks from when we're recording this, but we'll, depending on when this episode comes out, it might be out now or it might be about to come out. So. Yeah.
Is it 2 weeks? That's kind of worrying, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got to get a move on, boys. We've got stuff to do.
It's a tough one to kind of encapsulate quite quickly, but
it's called Flail, Leo.
that was the prompt I was looking for. Yes, it's called Flail, and I think it continues on with a bit of a. We've had a sort of impetus as a band to, even with our first EP, we tried to not make the same song twice, or make a collection of songs that sound roughly the same. I think we've taken that and expanded on it and gone, if we were going this far apart before, we've pushed the boundaries of where we're going. We've done, EP starts really quite strongly and intensely with how it starts, which is a single we put out in November, I think, and then culminates in quite a quiet song, Cadal, that was mentioned before by Ian. Donnie's a really lovely ballad that's piano and harmonica based, and then exploring all the sort of intricacies as a band, playing together more. The EP is largely recorded live, which we hadn't done before. We usually multi-tracked a lot of things, and the most enjoyment that we got last time was from recording live all playing at the same time. I think the song "The Corner" is pretty much entirely just one take.
Brilliant.
If you listen to we've got an instrumental version of the track, but like you can still hear Ewan's vocals just coming through every mic in the room because he's going for it. But and then exploring even more things like Pete Harvey added some strings to Nettle, cello arrangement, which was amazing to have just come out of the woodwork, and it really makes that song such a standout.
I think that for me is that was a good milestone. That hearing the mix come in for the song that we recorded in the Highlands, and our producer had pinged it across to this incredible cello player, and then kind of first listen of that, I can't remember where I was, but yeah, just quite emotional actually, hearing these like strings over our music. So yeah, sorry Leo, but yeah, definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah,
they're both quite emotional. Those two songs, I know the rest of the EP obviously is not out yet, but those two songs are quite emotional that are on the EP, especially like Nettle with the strings and stuff. Like I'm trying to remember, there's a band and I've completely forgotten their name. I don't know what it reminded me of them. I meant to say this earlier, one of the other bands that your music brought to mind, but I think it's the guy that was in the Shins, and it might be one of the guys from the National were in a band together. They did a song called like 1,000 Times or something, was one of their hits, but I've totally forgotten the name of them. But yeah, they're very good. We can Google it. We can cheat and Google it.
Yeah, we love those bands. I don't know that one, but we love those bands. I think the EP as well, we decamped, we wrote the songs, and while we had loads of songs, because we've got multiple songwriters in the band, we had loads of them lying about. And obviously we wanted to pick the best ones, the most exciting ones. We also wanted ones that thematically linked, and you could hear together as playing as one, because while they are completely separate entities, we've always loved sort of not concept albums, but albums that flow, albums that sort of have an overarching theme. And like that's why the EP, even the last one and this one, we've got songs that blend into each other in similar keys. We've got an instrumental song in this EP called Ma, which bridges How It Starts in The Corner. And it's all about, although it's an EP, it's 6 songs or 5 tracks with an instrumental, we wanted it to be like a mini album, like this cohesive whole. We were saying that we want it, and that's why we recorded live. We wanted it all to be set up all week. We're not using different mics, we're using the same mics, we're using the same amps, and we're going to set up, and it's going to be one cohesive sounding thing where, despite the songs being different and taking influence from different things, there's going to be a feel to it. And we wanted to do that all in one place as well, with limited overdubs. And like albums like we were discussing them on the way up, like Elliott Smith and bands like that, where you can hear the first Bon Iver album, where you can hear the creaking, you can hear the everything. And we incorporated elements of that, of like mistakes, or Rory going to the toilet and shutting the door. It's all in there. So we did that, and all the songs were written fairly close together. We didn't have like years apart between most of them. They're all written in a fairly concise 3-4 month period. So it does kind of capture me, Ewan, and everyone chips in with the odd lyric here and there. It kind of encapsulates that period of time for us. And we had an overarching idea of we some of the themes we discussed were like indulgence and want and sort of things like that, and we wanted the album to run like those themes. So how it starts with the raw energy and the romance of what's going to come. I'm excited, like whether that's a night out or whether that's a big event or just meeting up with friends or something like that at the pub, or you not knowing what's going to come. The night's available, and then it drops off, and then Cadal finishes with like a somber sort of, call it the morning after of the EP. So it's like we wanted it all to be this one thing and see how it flowed, and there's lyrics that things that crop up in different songs across the EP. So yeah, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted it to always, and then even the artwork was part of that. How does that? It's called Flail because of the words and how it starts. The EP cover is sort of shaky photograph that Jake took while we were in the Highlands playing a show, either through by accident or through drunkenness. But it worked with the flail, the sort of uncertainty, that we wanted to put over in the EP. We had that's what I think we did with the last one, but we had a real good think about this and a good discussion about what we wanted to create, how it was going to be created that way, and then what these things were that we were wanting to discuss.
No, it's cool. And the live, I know the 2 live tracks you put on your YouTube channel recently are both of the songs they're very good as well. And it's interesting you said that you sort of almost recorded a lot of this like basically live, because you couldn't really tell much difference between the single and those live tracks. So they sound in a good way. And we'll probably try and link this on the episode when it comes out as well. We'll put a wee clip to those live performances on this episode when we edit it together so people see as well. But that sort of leads on to my next question for you, the three of you as well, which is about how do you collaborate as a band, and how does like the writing of songs and being in the studio, how do you approach all that creatively? Like you're saying, Donnie, that you and sort of do a lot of the lyrics, like, and then I'm assuming like Leo and the rest of the band, you kind of all just chip in. Do you have like, is there a process there? Does it just depend on the song and the time and stuff?
I think it does depend on the song sometimes. I think the typical way it works is that me and Donnie will have the core of a song, or we'll work together on the core of a song, and then we'll ping it across the other guys or jam out in a rehearsal studio. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that's the rule. From our last EP, for example, Rest and Be Thankful is a good example of that. That's it was Leo's guitar riff, which I think if you listen to it, it's quite a fast, intricate guitar lick, but at the time it was quite a lot slower, I would say, is fair, Leo. And then we just jammed it, and I mumbled over it. Donnie wrote the lyrics to it. Jake chipped in with the title or the hook, the chorus. And Rory always had something interesting or unusual from a drumming perspective. I think that's what makes him so interesting as a drummer, is that being kind of jazz trained, it's kind of quite unconventional things that he's drawn to.
Which in that case was just make it way faster.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be demos. Sometimes it'll be demos that we do. So it could be, quite built up already, and it'll come to the rest of the band, but usually it deviates from that anyway. So varied.
And do you guys
in terms of this? Oh, sorry. In terms of this EP, I think Grace was a good example of quite a weird process. I remember Donnie like phoning me. Because between London and Edinburgh, like you phoned me with an idea for a song, and I felt like we'd been transported to the fucking 1990s. Like we were like actually writing a song over the phone, where I was like shouting down the phone, like try this, do this chord on the piano, like move that finger, and then and it started in quite a different space, and then we got it somewhere. I think that demo ended up with you, and you transformed it a bit, and then took it to the band, and it was quite a strange process, but it worked out really well.
No, that's cool. I suppose that was another question I was going to ask, and to be very clear to anyone listening, Waverley are very much a Scottish-based band. It doesn't matter where you live sometimes, but I know some of you live in London or are based in London some of the time. So how does that sort of geographical difference work for you? I mean, you were saying on the phone there, Leo, you're sometimes writing songs and stuff, but I mean, I'm assuming you guys obviously want to be together as much as possible in the room and stuff it's obviously easier. So how does that work for the band? I'm sure there's bands listening that have broken up because of that. So it's a testament that you guys have made that work.
Well, we're getting used to these calls, that's for sure. So we're used to doing these kind of online connections. And yeah, it's just about being prepared to do more and to go and be willing to kind of just say yes to stuff. So it really doesn't limit us in being available for things, and it does make the kind of songwriting process a little bit more interesting sometimes.
Yeah, we make sure that everything is fleshed out. It's not between people via voice memos and demos, which we never did before. So it's actually quite a nice process now of like some of these songs come more fully formed. Nettle was an example where Ewan bounced it over to me when it was like pretty much all there already, and then all we had to do was just sort of, you know, work out what's going on and how can I write a part over that, or I want to keep that specific part of the demo. So we use that more, and it's just me and Ewan will meet up and write together and then practice our parts together. We'll rehearse as a duo, doing acoustic sort of stuff or on the keys, and then sometimes Leo, Jake, and Rory meet up in Scotland and go through the rhythm section with Leo just sort of barking orders and then having sort of a guide vocal, which means that when we come back together, we're actually more prepared than we're never away very long. That is also the case. Like, we are quite busy, so we're up once a month at least, and then in May we're up all month in May. So, you know, you can get quite a lot done if you're with each other 5 nights a week for a month. And we're always writing songs, so the songs are always known to each other before they arrive at the studio or the rehearsal space. It's very rare for us to, well, we did say it there, very rare for a song never to have been even heard, or the riff to have never been listened to, or, you know, a discussion never to have been had about the song. So it's being prepared, and it's willing to go the extra mile. It's willing to spend a lot of time together in shorter bursts, but we often don't see each other for a month maybe, and then we'll have a month of almost every single night. So it's just willing to do that, and because we're good friends from childhood, we don't hate each other yet. So
distance makes the heart grow fonder and all that as well, maybe.
Yeah.
I suppose it is interesting though, because like a lot of the creative things and a lot of jobs now, there's a lot more, and from COVID and stuff, so there's a lot more, you can do a lot of collaboration remotely, and in some ways it might force you to have to do that more and work harder because there's that distance. Whereas like if you're like, oh, we'll just do it on Thursday because we'll all be together, you know, band practice or whatever, so it maybe allows you to all work in a way that suits everyone. And I know everyone's different anyway. That's interesting. Also, just to circle back to something I said about 10 minutes ago, I did quickly had a wee Google when you were answering the question. The band I'm referenced are not from the Shins. They're from the frontman of the Walkmen did this, so I was completely wrong there. They are both New York bands, but just a little correcting myself there. So
what was the band?
I digress. So it's the frontman. I think it's the frontman from the Walkmen, and they did like a little side project. I think his name's Hamilton Lamshire or something. They did a little side project, yeah, like 2017. Yeah. A little total tangent there, but I wanted to correct the record because I don't like saying things incorrectly.
Me and Ewan saw the Walkmen last year, so I'll definitely check that out. I didn't actually.
I know. I think I know that exact album, and I'm pretty sure I referenced it in like when we were like making Nettle. I'm pretty sure I said it.
There you go.
I think it's Hamilton Lighthouse and Rostam from.
That's the exact one, yeah.
Vampire Weekend.
There you go.
Yeah, great. Very well.
Yeah,
very well observed. Good journalism.
There you go. I just said the wrong two bands in my original observation, but you know, it's too many. There's too many. I've started to wrap things up because I know it's mental. It's already nearly been an hour, and I know there's been sometimes a bit of a delay and stuff, and there's 4 of us on it, so we're speaking over each other a wee bit sometimes. So I appreciate your patience throughout as well. But just to sort of wrap things up, I guess my last question, often I ask people that are on the show their advice for other people, but I kind of want to know, like, what do you wish somebody had told you as a band when you first started that you maybe know now? So what's something you wish somebody had said before you started the band? I'll let you all ponder for a moment, and then you can decide which one wants to go first.
I'll maybe jump in. I've got something that I think if someone told me that you let's kind of touch on one of the pieces that Leo talked on earlier, which is you kind of need to make yourself a bit of a jack of everything, a bit of jack of all trades if you want to be able to market yourself and play the music and build the connections and write the songs, and you're not going to always be on stage playing music constantly, and you need to learn to enjoy that, which I think I have come to. But you need to get used to just working away in the shadows for a bit. That would have been good to get told.
Leo, you got something to say?
It's almost like the opposite answer, and it's a bit of a sort of Schrodinger's cat of like, I don't know whether I'd rather someone have told me that there was going to be this much admin, or I'm more encouraged to be.
I guess when you put it like that, yeah. Maybe
like if someone told me that like I'm going to be sending emails, like, yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
I'm here now.
Yeah, I think someone had just said, well, we got this great training at this council project of, like, well, not throw you in the deep end, Ewan, but you hadn't probably played a gig until you were about 19. So we'd got a little bit of training, but of how to correctly set up, how to, how PA works, little things like that. And like little things that we all learned, like get a clip-on tuner, right? Not a clip-on tuner, get a stomp tuner, get a that cuts out your feed, write your set list with instructions on it so that you don't put the capo on the wrong fret. Like little things like that. I'm referencing you, but these are things that have happened.
I might have done that.
Tell your drummer to come 15 minutes earlier than he actually is needed. Just like little things. Just get Rory to arrive on time. Little.
Are we just like throwing each other under the bus here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what else. Someone. But just be willing to also. We've got a nice system where we've got it's quite democratic, although there's probably things that people feel more strongly on. Have a system of veto, I would say, is really helpful, because while we're all quite amenable to decisions, and if it's your song, you've probably got a stronger opinion on it than someone else. But we all play I will literally die on this hill card. Like, I will die, don't do this to me. And it's been used for stuff like a font before. But I have that system of like.
Sounds ridiculous, but it's honestly very important. I think the whole thing started. Maybe you'd better tell the story, Leo, quickly.
Yeah, I think this came from the thing I was mentioning before about like that milestone of making the second EP and learning how we all work together up north, and I'm pretty sure it came from that. Am I right? Is that okay? Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was about, but I think it was me.
There was a live session solo, I think, and there was a version that had a little bit of a bum note in it, and I was like, "That's the best version." And Leo was like, "I will literally die on this hill; it's never going anywhere," type thing. So now we all get one, and like Donny says, it's been used for some silly things.
Is it one a year, or is it like one a year, one ever, or have you not worked that out?
We should start keeping track of this, because I think
I use it like once a month. Yeah.
Wow.
We probably should. It's not that frequent. We probably should get like a limit.
I think I've used one. It's like once every so often. Like, I will die. Do not put that out. I am not putting my name on that. Which sounds harsh, but it works.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap things up,
department.
Before we wrap things up, do you just what's coming up for you guys? Obviously the EP, but do you want to plug anything very quickly? Obviously there's links below, but anything you want to plug as well that I've maybe missed?
Donny's good with dates.
I'm good with dates, and we are, I suppose, around whenever this gets released. Don't know when this gets released, but around the EP Flail on the 2nd of May, we are then going on we're calling it a tour. 3rd of May, we're playing Stag and Dagger in Glasgow. 9th of May is our EP launch with Lacuna at the Cabaret Voltaire in Edinburgh. And then we're going down to London with Day Sleeper to play. And then we're playing McCart's with Day Sleeper on the 16th of May. So those dates, and then we play Perth Festival of the Arts in June. And then it's just keep an eye on the rest of the year, because we've probably got a few more things cropping up before the end, and probably back in the studio. There'll probably be some new music by the end of the year, but nothing to tell you as of yet.
Yeah, we got some exciting news today, but we're not gonna. We'll have to play
That's
our
all right.
cards close to our chest.
Yeah, we can't get every exclusive on this podcast, so it's all good. No, listen, lads, honestly, really nice to chat to you all. I love having bands on the show. I don't do it as often as I'd like, actually. I should do it more. I love music, and this is my way of, it's like the closest thing I'll ever get to being in a band now. I've accepted that. So, the teenage version of Jamie enjoys chatting to musicians, because I get to be a bit geeky about music and then say band names wrong and mix them up, but then get them right eventually. So it's grand.
Seriously,
but no, thank you very much, lads. Yeah, no, thank you very much, lads, and I wish you all the best with the EP. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having us. Yeah, sorry for talking over you. Yeah.